and welcome to the SBN Newscast with your hosts Scott and Kendra. We are delighted to have officially now launched our autumn series of events, which kicked off with our first in-person event on the 7th of September in London with a masterclass with Liz Barclay. Liz is the Small Business Commissioner, financial journalist and author. And Scott, you were in the room on the evening. What was it like having our members together after 18 months?
It was good. I was a little nervous before, sort of half hour beforehand. You start thinking, is it going to be weird? Is it going to have a 10 minutes so people go, well, I can't quite remember your name? But I had forgotten that for the last 18 months, we've been introducing people to each other in their living rooms so everyone just sort of picked up where they left off. And in classic SBN London terms, after the event, the closest bar was full of people continuing to network. So I think we're back to where we left off.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, I'm really looking forward to our next monthly showcase, which will be on the 21st. And it'll be our first hybrid event, allowing members to join us in London, Glasgow, and online. So I can't wait to catch up with those that we will be welcoming to the Cloud Cover IT offices in Glasgow for the evening. In addition to this, we have a great lineup of events planned to engage our members and the wider diaspora community in the upcoming months, and one of those is our week-long annual Scottish International Week, which we launched at the end of August, and you would have heard Scott introduce it in the last SBN Newscast. We have many ways for you to get involved, and we will be launching parts of the lineup and the pre-event community platform where you can have networking during, before, and after the event and make those meaningful connections. And our team and our international ambassadors will be hosting networking and support with the facilitation of these valuable connections. If you want to stay in the know about all things SIW, visit scottishinternationalweek.com. You can register your interest and be notified with our updates and sign up to our activity and community as soon as we hit go. And if you're only just catching up with our SBN Newscast, where have you been? You can subscribe to be alerted when our episodes go live, and you can catch up and hear from previous guests via YouTube. And we have a lot of member news to share, guests lined up to join us, and dates for your diary.
Yep, thank you, Kendra. Now, before we welcome our guests, let's get stuck into the news from the past couple of weeks. I wrote a piece last week about our first physical event in over 18 months, as Kendra mentioned. We welcomed members and friends to London Scottish House for an evening of people, patter and unique perspectives. The Scottish Government announced their plans for a fairer, greener Scotland in the 2021-22 programme for government. I suggest if you're a business owner in Scotland that you do look into that, because there's a lot of interesting things in there about how this is going to affect businesses. Ian Houston's column in the Herald focused on the 20th anniversary of 9/11 and memorialised those that lost and those who served. Tom Thomas also continued his weekly update from India with new editions every Friday. Last week's featured stories about India's surge in foreign direct investment, Reliance Industries' plans to make cost-effective and green hydrogen, as well as recent census discoveries that 107 languages are being concurrently spoken in the Bengaluru region, which is the most in the world. Huge congratulations were in order for Mick O'Connor, as he was shortlisted as Entrepreneur of the Year at this year's Glasgow Business Awards. And the good news kept rolling for Mick as progress was made on the Prestwick aerospace plans as they start to blast off as Ayrshire aims to become Europe's largest spaceport. David Gray and the team at AM Bid launched Ultimate Tender Coach at the start of the month, which is a digital platform designed to help Scottish businesses upskill and empower themselves to win more public contracts. The University of Stirling launched the Help to Grow scheme, which is 90% funded by government, in this 12-week practical programme to include both online and face-to-face sessions alongside peer support to provide one-to-one mentoring to support business leaders in Scotland. Murdo MacLeod and the team at Zest Mixology launched their hybrid cocktail experience. This allows businesses to welcome mixologists into the office or host the session online for their team. Check out their Halloween experience that they've got coming up in October on the link below. South of Scotland Enterprise hosted their virtual international conference yesterday, celebrating what the Borders, Dumfries and Galloway helps deliver to the world. Investors, entrepreneurs, and business leaders join to hear from local and global speakers about opportunities for borders businesses around the world, and indeed opportunities for global businesses in the south of Scotland. The replays of that event are available to view on the conference website, so if you couldn't catch us yesterday, you can see them all there. There are also plenty of events to look forward to. From September to December this year, we're going to be holding a variety of events, some familiar and some brand new, in ways that are going to be as accessible and inclusive to the wider SBN community. And we're going to be doing this by hosting them virtually, physically, and in hybrid ways. Our first hybrid event is going to be September 21st, next Tuesday. It's being hosted simultaneously in London, Glasgow, and virtually. This event is going to see the return of the SBN Masterclass, as Fraser Allen is going to be interviewing Ian Anderson, and it's going to be followed by 3 business leaders taking the stage to share and ask. Kissing with Confidence have their next conference on September 28th. Virtually Yours, Happy Hybrid, Finding the Sweet Spot for the New Normal. It's going to be a half-day event running from 9:30 to 12:30, so you can grab your tickets from the link below while they're still available. The STV Growth Academy is back on September 30th, where speakers will be focusing on the marketing potential of the STV player and how it can help businesses build their brand, engage locally, and ultimately increase sales. SBN have more virtual events on September 22nd, October 7th, and beyond, so make sure you check out www.sbn.scot/events to see our full event calendar and get them in your diary today. But that's enough from me. Now let's hear from our guests.
Yes, we're delighted to welcome Max Browning and Joe Little of One Scotland.
Hi there. Hi, Kendra.
Hi, hello, Kendra. It's great to have you both.
Yeah, it's great to be chatting with you again.
And it's also good to see that you're both in the room together.
Fantastic,
is this the first day you're meeting?
Yeah, literally 35 minutes ago, we met for the first time. He's significantly taller than I thought. I thought TV actually sort of adds inches to you. It's gone the other way with Max.
Amazing. Well, it's good to actually have you both in the room together. And I think this is a first on the SBN Newscast where you're both joining together. So it's a delight to have you join us. But I want to get started by letting you introduce yourselves to our audience. So why don't you tell us a bit about One Scotland and its mission?
Brilliant.
Okay.
Well, hi everyone, I'm Max Browning. I'm a 4th year student at the University of Edinburgh and I study Russian and Chinese. One Scotland started as One Edinburgh last August. So that then quickly developed during the pandemic into an initiative that we could expand nationally. And we now have teams in Glasgow, Stirling and Aberdeen. The initiative at its core is about cultural exchange, integration and fostering collaboration amongst international students at universities in Scotland, and also the integration with the local community. How can we add value to the local community as international students? And how can we build a stronger global network at universities in Scotland?
Fantastic. And you facilitate this opportunity, obviously, for businesses to engage the talent pool of students around the world and share that valuable resource. But can you tell us a little bit more about the workings of it and the engagement between businesses and students and the types of scenarios and projects?
Yeah, so we have teams, as I mentioned, in those 4 cities. The teams on average are about 25, so they're all student volunteers and they help the initiative run. But we engage with a much wider international student audience. So we have probably engagement with about 5,000 international students at the moment. And one of the things that we would like to do is to give those international students the opportunity to collaborate with local Scottish businesses or social enterprises. And one of the key components to that is not only does it mean that the international student is able to get valuable work experience and see how a Scottish company operates, but also it's useful for the Scottish business, because if they're looking to gain insights, be they cultural or social insights into another country, that is a great opportunity to work with an international student and gain those insights through that collaboration, that partnership.
Yeah,
because I was going to say, if I might add to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, what a fantastic resource. So for many Scottish businesses, trying to understand, the culture of a country, the ways of doing business, the connections you need just to do very basic business in a foreign country is quite onerous. And so this fabulous pool of students being available to you to actually get more insight into how to move your business into those countries and plan more effectively. It's just an amazing resource and something that Scottish Business Network would really like to push hard for more opportunities for students to work within your business throughout their time in Scotland, as well as actually working for you when they go back to their home countries.
Yeah, and completely agree. I'm a big advocate for that business relationship with students, and it's funny because you often see about international studies in the context of its value for students, but also the impacts just expand beyond them. Like you say, it's value to the host countries, it contributes back to the economy, and it's value for those businesses back in their regions that they're from, but also with the businesses on the ground to get, like you say, that insight into these international markets and opportunities. And they can be great advocates for your business and developing those relationships with those insights. So I'm sure a lot of people will hopefully be seeing the value here and want to pick up conversations with you. So what kinds of businesses are eligible?
Well, let me just also first add to what Joe was saying, and obviously, you've hit the nail on the head, Kendra, as well. And one of the focuses is on exporting Scottish innovation abroad as well. And we believe that we can do this through our alumni network in Scottish universities, but there needs to be more cohesion. There needs to be a better sense of community amongst current students so that we can build a stronger network going forward into the future. And obviously, there's two aspects to it. There's the developing Scottish innovation with input from international students' side, and then there's exporting those innovations abroad as well. And so one example that we've had recently is a Pakistani student who has been working with Net Zero Scotland, run by Gavin Tweedy. And one of the fascinating things with that partnership is not only is she providing a youthful perspective and insights into marketing, for example, but also looking at on the ground, could this be something that could be replicated in Pakistan? Could there be a Net Zero Pakistan? So that's really an example of how we can take innovation in Scotland and use it for the common good in other countries worldwide. Mm-hmm. And as for business eligibility, any business in Scotland is welcome to partner with us if they're looking for international insights. Obviously, we're delighted to work with Business Network, and Joe's been instrumental with facilitating that as well. But really, there's a wider opportunity here as well for any businesses or even individual entrepreneurs that would like insights from international students that are open and willing to take those insights on board and to incorporate them and use them in an effective way. Do get in touch because we'd love to hear from you.
Amazing. And for those listening, how can they help you spread the word about this initiative? And is there any key connections that you're looking for right now that we could support you with?
Yeah. I'll start off on the business side. So coming from a big bad company for 30 years and knowing how we engage with students, really you need to be starting now to think about next summer and next spring if you're looking to potentially take an intern in to your organization. So we'd like companies within SBN to start to think about that. If their own connections have an opportunity, please get in touch and we'll start the conversation in the matching process. Now, that would be fantastic if you could start to do that. But similarly, if you have projects right now that would benefit having one of these students take part and help you, please make the approach. We'd be very open to that, particularly with COP26 coming up. And I appreciate that there are a lot of concerns coming up with that. We'd be delighted to make some connections there if it actually helps that conversation.
Amazing. Well, hopefully we can spread the word and tell a little bit more about One Scotland, and we'll make sure that we supply the links, and anybody that wants to have a conversation, I encourage you to pick up the phone or get in touch with Max or Joe. We'll include their LinkedIns in the post as well. So thank you both for joining us and telling us a little bit more about One Scotland.
Thank you, Kendra. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Kendra.
Thanks.
So I am delighted to welcome our next guest, Louise McDonald of IoD Scotland. Hi, Louise. Thanks for joining us. How are you?
I'm good, Scott. I'm grand. And how are you doing? Hope all's well with you and everybody in your network as well. Delighted to be here.
Yeah, we're doing really well. We're still keeping these up. We'll hopefully be doing some of them in person in the future. So just before we get started, earlier this year, you took on the role of National Director of IoD Scotland. And I was wondering if you could maybe tell us a bit more about what this role entails and how the Institute of Directors help support businesses in Scotland and beyond.
Yeah, no, that's great. And yes, indeed, I'm kind of, I'm over my kind of 3-month stage now with IoD Scotland as National Director. So it's been fantastic. I mean, the great thing about running a membership organisation, which IoD is, which you will know as well, is the chance to meet so many brilliant members and to meet so many people from lots of different organisations, from businesses and cross-sector organisations who are just doing amazing work in Scotland. And so it's been a real joy kind of getting to know them and chatting to people. And also, I think just thinking about what the IoD in Scotland can do right now for our members, given what everybody's kind of been through over the kind of the past year and a half. You know, there's been hugely difficult and challenging decisions for directors, because that's what the IoD is for. We're not an organisation that has companies or organisations as members. It's individual directors who are members of IoD. So we've been really thoughtful about the experience of directors over the past 18 months or so, and what is it that we can do to really kind of support them as they're kind of moving forward and thinking about kind of recovery and renewal. So the IoD offer, I mean, obviously we've got our kind of membership where people can kind of connect with other directors either locally or at Scotland level or also in the UK and further afield, because IoD is international as well. But also in particular, we're really thoughtful about how we can support directors through our professional development training and support. So we've got phenomenal kind of short courses and webinars and so on, most of which are accredited for directors. But we've also got our Chartered Director programme, which is our sort of professional development for directors. They can move through from doing a certificate to the diploma to Chartered Director status. And we feel that's something really powerful for directors right now, that ability to take a moment, invest in their own training and development, their own learning, and be part of a community who are keen on good governance and improving kind of governance and leadership, their own and for the organisations that they're part of. We feel that's a really important area for directors to focus on, and one that we're really both skilled at and keen to support our members to do. So it's been really great for me to kind of get to understand all that better, but really see what it is that can offer to our members. And I'm really thoughtful about how we can develop that over the coming months and years.
Yeah, it's quite a crucial time for it as well. You mentioned that a lot of the sort of business leaders and the directors in the membership are sort of looking at sort of this coming out of the last 18 months. And it's perhaps the first time in the last almost 2 years that business leaders and directors have had time to think about what's next rather than how do we get through this. So it's really a good time for that. And in fact, a good example of that was at the start of this month, because the IoD hosted your global conference looking at how to tackle these sort of global challenges, but all together as a team. How did the conference go?
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, well, it was an honour for the IoD Scotland team to actually host that event on behalf of the IoD and our kind of global membership. And the aim of it was to, I suppose, in some ways, offer an opportunity in advance of COP26 coming to Glasgow in November, a chance for directors to come together to say, in terms of net zero and the crisis around the climate, what is it that directors need to think about? What needs to be being discussed at the board level? You know, when we're at the kind of the boardroom table, virtual or otherwise, you know, what's the thinking that directors need to be doing? And so we wanted to inspire kind of directors. So we had a really, even if I do say so myself, a stellar lineup of speakers. I've had that feedback from others, so I'm not just making it up. It really was a fantastic set of speakers from David Miliband and Douglas Lamont to Dr. Catherine Trebek, and we also had Vanessa Natake, the young climate activist from Uganda, who were, all of our speakers were just stunning. And it was really great to see the conversation that it sparked amongst those who attended, and also those who've then read the blogs and some of the follow-up articles that we've done, just about how we need to be having more conversations about what is the role of the board director, and where can the director really influence how we accelerate, you know, action on towards net zero and beyond, in fact, but also how do directors hold themselves and others to account around that. So what are the scrutiny mechanisms, what are the measurements, and what are the kind of practical tools that are available. I have to say, though, the overarching message from the conference was, wherever you are, and you know, in terms of your organisation, either just get started or just do more. So, you know, if you haven't started yet, don't beat yourself up that you haven't started yet. Just go, just get started. And equally, if you're sitting there thinking, oh, we do loads actually, that's great, but do more. So I think that was that was to really kind of summarize the kind of the message that came from it. That was it. But we were thrilled to have the event and to be able to really start to position that conversation about the role of the director in relation to the climate emergency, because it's an important one to have.
Yeah, and you mentioned as well that some of the sort of inspiring speakers and the inspiring talks, I think one of the things that really helps get people on side and more aware of it is looking at this as an opportunity for business and for the planet, rather than a threat to business and to help the planet. I don't know if you experienced much of that at the conference.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it is about it is about people, planet, and profit. It's about balancing those three things. And I think the sense of actually seeing some of this as there might be some short-term kind of challenges in terms of making that shift to and beyond net zero, but actually then the opportunities from that, the opportunities for collaboration, for innovation, are just huge. And so there was so many examples of that, and also great examples, particularly from SMEs, who we had SME representatives on every panel. And particularly for them about the kind of the ripple effects that then had throughout their business. And so actually taking a leadership position on this, they actually saw staff much more engaged with purpose. They were able to act as a role model, and then staff then saying, well, actually, if you're doing it, we can do it, you know, and also an opportunity to empower staff and their ideas around net zero as well. So there was lots of associated benefits as well.
Yeah, it's just great that these things are covered, because I think COP26 might be scary for a week here in Scotland, but it's having this momentum beforehand means it'll continue afterwards. But moving on to other things in the IoD, the big yearly occasion's coming up with the Director of the Year Awards. I was wondering if you could let us know a little bit about what the ceremony has in store for people this year, and maybe tell us a bit more about how it's going to help celebrate the leadership talent that is here in Scotland.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the key thing that I want to tell you, Scott, is that nominations are still open. So I'm delighted to say that we're still looking for those directors across Scotland that people want to champion and to submit an entry for Director of the Year Awards in Scotland. It's a fantastic way of actually kind of recognising people that have been doing amazing things, particularly over the past year, and I think that's something that we'd want to say. And we've actually introduced a new award this year on agility and resilience to specifically recognise directors across Scotland who, and we'll all know them, who went that, you know, who just stepped outside their comfort zone and really stepped up in terms of the kind of the pandemic, helping their community, helping their workforce, being part of the response, pivoting their business to whether that was differences in manufacturing or and so on. There's all kinds of examples across Scotland and communities across Scotland of how directors have been part of that pandemic response. And so this is a great way to say thank you to them and to have them recognised. People always think awards are about what's about elite things and whatever. It's about celebrating brilliant people is what it's about. So we're super keen to get nominations from, particularly from kind of SMEs who probably think, oh, these kind of things aren't for me, but they definitely are. And the other thing I'd say is that you don't have to be an IoD member to be nominated for the Director of the Year Awards, because we just want to celebrate great directors. It's what we're all about. So we've got some great categories. So there's sure to be one that will suit anybody that's watching this. So have a wee look on the IoD pages on our website, and you can see that. We've also, we recognise directors across our regions. So IoD kind of operates across 7 regions in Scotland. So we also are keen to make sure that, that the directors in every one of those regions are recognised and celebrated. So, you know, super keen in terms of Aberdeenshire and also Highlands and Islands, south of Scotland, as well as, you know, more traditional kind of central areas that you would think. And it's free. I should probably mention that, actually. So we're not one of these ones that you have to pay to enter. And we've got such a great judging panel, and it's a really diverse judging panel. It's been chaired by Teresa Shearer of Enable, Chief Executive Enable, and she's chairing it for us. So it's just a great opportunity, actually, to celebrate those that you think are great. And the closing date is the 30th of September. So you've still got a wee while to get those entries in. And then we'll have kind of judging, and we'll have our event in the run up to Christmas. It'll be a virtual event as well. So hopefully we might be able to get our finalists and winners together at a later stage to celebrate over a glass of fizz. But for the ceremony itself, it'll be a virtual event.
Well, I am all behind celebrating brilliance. I love that idea. And yeah, so as you said, everybody else that's out there watching, you've got the 30th, and you just go on the IoD website, IoD Director of the Year, and you can make your nominations there. But for the time being, I just want to say, Louise, thank you very much for joining us. It's great to have you on still so early on into your reign at the IoD, and I'm sure we'll be hearing from you again soon.
Great stuff. Thank you, Scott, and delighted and great to be working in partnership with your network as well. So thanks for having me along.
Thanks very much. Thanks
again to our guests that joined us on the show, and make sure you look at the links provided and check out what events are coming up and more about our speakers.
Yep, and don't forget that if any of you missed our SOCI conference yesterday, you can catch the replays on the conference website, and I hope all of you can join us for our first hybrid event on September 21st. You can find more details about that and all our future event schedule at sbn.scot/events. But everyone, thanks for now.
See you soon.